as a leader. In this video, I am going to share with you a few insights that will help you to think about speaking concisely a bit differently as a leader. This video is a Q&A. Therefore, if you have any questions for me as it relates to speaking concisely, perhaps there's something that you may be struggling with as it relates to speaking concisely, or you just want to maybe talk about a specific situation that happened or an event you have coming up and you're trying to figure out what to say, then this is the best place for you to be at today, friend. If you clicked on this video, you are meant to be here. The titles of the videos I do on my channel are catered to a very specific type of exceptional leader, and that would be you if you have clicked on this video. I do want you to watch this until the end because there may be some questions that come up that you may not have thought about as it relates to speaking more concisely. Now, if you're watching this portion of the video, you are more than likely watching the replay, friend, and I'm glad that you're here today. I appreciate you spending a few moments out of your day with me today. This is a live video. Therefore, what happens on YouTube is that there's a point in time when people start to join the conversation. Give me just a few moments to say hello to everyone, and then we'll go into some strategies on how you can speak concisely, and I'll answer any questions that you have. If you are watching the replay, feel free to put your comments or your questions in the comment section below, and I'll be happy to provide you with any insights I can do to help you on your journey. Now, if you are new to me, I'm glad that you're here today. And for myself, I am an executive coach. I help women leaders communicate at a higher level. My one-on-one clients and group clients that I work with are women in leadership. However, if you are not in my direct target audience in terms of who I provide services to, perhaps you are a woman that is not a leader yet, or maybe you are a man in leadership, I welcome you here to the channel because the information I'm going to share with you will help you in a very meaningful way. I share a lot of information that can be somewhat applied universally to help you communicate at a higher level than your peers. So I'm glad that you're here, whether you are in my target audience or not. Now let's talk about speaking concisely. Concisely is something that many people struggle with. I want to know from you, have you ever struggled with speaking concisely? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know. Most of the time when I'm working with my clients, especially when it comes to maybe larger presentations they have to do, maybe they have an interview planned that's coming up very soon, or they have some other event going on. They tell me that they feel like they ramble. Have you ever felt like you've rambled before? I have many, many years ago. And why do people feel like they ramble? The reason people feel like they ramble is because their thoughts that they have in their mind are not organized in a way that sounds very concise when they speak. So for those of you who have joined, welcome. Glad you all are here today. Let me know if you have ever struggled to speak concisely. Maybe you have rambled when you're speaking as a leader. This is really a opportunity for you to ask me any questions. This is a Q&A. I will always share with you strategies and value to help you on your journey, but this is really a Q&A. So if you have any questions specifically as it relates to how can you speak concisely and etc., let me know in the comments below any questions you may have in this very brief, because you want to about how you communicate, and that is the reason why you're here on this channel. And if you like this information so far, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Watch some of my live replay videos. They will help you communicate at a higher level than your peers. All right, we have Brad Bergen -YN4LO. Welcome, Brad. Hope you're doing well today. Let me know if you have any questions about speaking concisely. Brad says, hi, pretty girl. Well, thank you, Brad. I appreciate that. Appreciate you being here today. So we're talking about speaking concisely. As I was mentioning before some of you joined, many of my clients I work with, they tell me that, okay, I ramble a lot. And so the reason why people tend to ramble, there's two things that actually happen, believe it or not. The first thing that happens to cause people to ramble is that they are not organized in their thoughts. That means they don't have a plan. What can you do today to start to stop rambling? Do you want to know? This is what you can do today. Today, when you are scheduled to have a meeting or a presentation, and I mention this a lot on my channel, many times as a leader, whether you are a woman in leadership in terms of my direct audience I work with, or you are a man in leadership, you kind of have an idea as to what your meeting is going to be about. You know the topic, you know some things that are going to come up. So if you take a few moments just to plan ahead and maybe plan at least one major talking point that you need to discuss, that will help you to sound more concise. Now, if you are someone that just rambles all the time, I would encourage you to probably stick with one talking point, just one. If you know you ramble some, you just want to be a bit more concise in terms of how you communicate, then narrow it down too. If you are someone that is very experienced in terms of public speaking as a leader, then you probably could get away with 3. It just depends on your level of ramblingness, that you only know where you're at. But ultimately, you really want to focus on just one to get you started. This will help you not to ramble. So when you're communicating with other people, it appears very concise in terms of what you are saying. It doesn't sound like a ramble. So planning ahead is very, very important to be concise. You have to organize your thoughts. And you may be feeling such as, I just got so much going on. Maybe you are a leader and you have like a million projects going on right now. How in the world can you be more concise? Take a moment before your meeting, before your conversation, and get a pen, excuse me, and a paper, or type it on your phone, however you visually learn information. For me personally, I'm a writer. I have to write it down to commit it to memory. But write down the most important thing that you need to talk about before your meeting, before your discussion in advance. I personally like to do this a day before the meeting. I do not like doing things last minute, because as leaders, as many of you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes on and you just may forget. So you want to do it at least a day before. Let me see, something came up in the chat. Brad Bergen says, oh man, I have to go to work now. Thanks and have a great day. Well, thank you, Brad, for stopping by. I appreciate you stopping by and hope you learned some information about speaking concisely. We'd love to have you as a part of our group here on YouTube to communicate at a higher level than your peers and communicate confidently and concisely under pressure, Brad, as a leader. So hope you have an amazing day today and an amazing weekend as well. So we talked a little bit about planning ahead. You have to plan ahead if you're trying to speak concisely. You have to organize your thoughts. The reason why you may ramble is because your thoughts are not as organized as they need to be. You have to be very clear in terms of what is it specifically. What's the number one topic, discussion point, issue, situation you need to talk about in a meeting. Now, another strategy, and I want to know from you all, if you have any questions about speaking concisely, please put them in the comments below. I'd be happy to answer them for you and give you any insights here for the next few minutes or so. Another way you can speak concisely. Now, we've talked about the thought process. Okay, this is a big one. You have to have organized thoughts. You cannot have unorganized thoughts or you will ramble. The way you have organized thoughts is to plan ahead and think about what it is you need to discuss. If you are caught off guard, I have several videos here that talk about thinking on your feet on my live tab. Take a look at those as it relates to how you can think on your feet, communicate on your feet when those situations come up, and etc. And that will be a good resource for you on the live tab here. If you are struggling with this, then and you're a woman in leadership, then reach out to me for a strategy session in the description below, and I will give you some insight. We'll have a brief call, talk about where you are, where we can get you to that next level. Now, the second way for you to speak concisely is to pause. What do I mean by pausing? Many times, and this is common, and I'm sharing with you secrets from the public speakers. As I talked about yesterday during our live, public speaking is not for your TEDx talks, your conferences, and your large events, speaking to your constituents. It's not only for those situations. It is for your day-to-day conversations. Therefore, why do I mention pausing? This is a secret in public speaking. I personally did this, and this is why I want to share this with you so you all don't make this mistake. When you are speaking in front of a group of people or in a one-on-one setting, we tend to have the ability, if you are a relatively new public speaker, or maybe you might be seasoned, we tend to speak a lot faster than we need to. Meaning that we just speak really, really fast. Most of the time that comes up when we feel a bit nervous about the conversation or what's being said. And if you want to sound more concise, More concise individuals, they sound a bit more calmer when they are speaking, meaning specifically that they slow down a bit when they are speaking. You can tell when someone speaks concisely that every pause, every gesture that they make has a purpose behind it. And with that purpose, they are very intentional on what they say, which makes them appear as very articulate and very concise. So pausing can actually help you in many ways. Pausing, one, can allow you to have time to think about what it is you want to say. Pausing, number two, can help to create room for the audience to process what you are saying. And number three, pausing can make you look like you are more in control of the conversation. So there's multiple ways that pausing when you are speaking will help you. Now, I talked about pausing. So you'll see some videos here on my live tab that talk about live. Specifically, the topic will most likely be silence in a conversation or pausing. Take a look at those videos. They will absolutely help you, friends, to start mastering pausing. Pausing in a conversation is a skill you have to learn. It's just not something you just wake up one day and say, I can do this every day. You have to practice. And so you absolutely want to reach out to myself for an executive strategy session. Let's come up with a plan for you, because this is something you have to be trained on. You have to be trained on this. It's not as easy as you may think it is in terms of stopping mid-sentence or at the beginning or the end. It depends on the type of effect that you're trying to have with your audience in terms of where you put your pause, how long you pause, what your gestures, your facial expressions are when you pause. I could go into detail and talk about this all day, friends, because this is what I love to do every day. I love public speaking. It's changed my life. And I mentioned this because pausing is really important to help you sound more concise in your communication. So let me know, what are some things that you're struggling with as it relates to speaking concisely? Put it in the comments below. I'll be happy to give you some insight here today. So we talked about 2 strategies to help you be able to speak more concisely. And I want to know from you, which strategy was your favorite? Which one do you feel like you need to start working on today? The first strategy that we talked about as it relates to speaking concisely is to organize your thoughts. You really want to take some time and organize your thoughts, because most of the time when people ramble, we ramble because we just got too much in our head. There's too much going on in our head. But then the other part of that is we don't know what to say because there's so much there. If you take some time, organize your thoughts, get it to where it needs to be, then you will be in a better place to sound more concisely when you speak. The second strategy I shared with you today is to pause when you are speaking. Be very purposeful in terms of what you are saying, being very intentional in terms of what specifically you are saying. When you do this, you sound more in control and you sound more concise. Now, there are many, did I say many? Many other ways for you to learn how to speak more concisely as a woman in leadership. There are a ton of ways to do this. I just touched on 2 today with the time that I have. But if you want to learn more about this, then put it in the comments below. I'll do a lot more for you and give you some more insights to help you on your journey. There's a couple things that I mentioned to you. I mentioned that I have some videos that you might want to take a look at. One of them specifically is about thinking on your feet. That is a really good video. There's several videos on my channel that specifically talk about thinking on your feet. So you definitely want to take a look at that. Those will help you out tremendously. And they're on my live tab. The other part of that, in terms of videos that will help you with speaking more concisely, I mentioned to you about gestures. Gestures are definitely a public speaking skill that you want to learn how to master. Gestures themselves make a huge impact on your presentations, your delivery, you having conversation with other people as leaders, and etc. There's a few videos here on my live channel that talk about gestures, but one of the videos that probably goes a bit more into gestures, I would say, is the presidential debate between, at that time, it was Vice President at the time, Kamala Harris, and current now President Donald Trump. And when they did their debate, there was a couple things I wrote down in their debate specifically about their gestures in terms of how they were using their gestures, what they were doing. And if you're trying to learn from just public speaking and to be a better communicator, then learning how to master those very purposeful gestures when you're speaking to other people will make you stand out as a leader and will help you to speak more concisely, because you are literally planning out exactly what it is that you want to say and how you want to say it. I hope this information has been helpful to you. Make sure you check out some of the lives that I mentioned to you a moment ago. And remember, you can do this. You can speak at a higher level than your peers. I believe that people become great by how they communicate. And my role, my mission here on this earth is to unlock the greatness within you. And I do that by sharing with you advanced communication strategies that will help you to communicate at a very high level than your peers, and also help you to communicate confidently and concisely under pressure. I'll see you all in the live later this evening, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye for now.